Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday. In this video I will be reviewing the Legio Custodes Coronus Grav-Carrier by Forge World. One of these models will set you back £110. If you're going to buy it just as on its own, you're going to have to spend £13 on delivery. Now I'll just read a little bit of the description. It's armed with a twin-linked Lastrum bolt cannon right there, and an Arachnus blaze cannon right here. It's sort of a bit like a multi-laser, but it's got two methods of firing, and it's pretty decent. But obviously I can't go into the rules and things like I'd normally would in this video, because the Inferno book isn't out. It's been on Games Workshop's website that the Inferno book will be out for pre-order this Friday. So I've decided that when I do actually receive the book, I'll do another video talking about its rules and the Palace rules, and also the Dreadnought, all in separate videos, sort of to catch up with the models that I've purchased recently. It's a heavily protected transport skimmer, which provides a degree of speed and agility unmatched, by other armour. The Grav-Carrier served as the basis for both the Palace and the Caladius. So they worked this Coronus out first, and then the other two are sort of extensions of it. It consists of 45 components, and it's on a 170mm base. If you've seen my unboxing, you will have seen that the instruction manual is similar to the Palace, and like the Leviathan Dreadnought and things like that, whereby it's a large instruction book in sort of the Horus Heresy artwork vein kind of thing. Model wise, absolute breeze to put together. I didn't have any issues. There's a few bits of slippage in places and some bubbles, but they can be quite easily repaired, and it's certainly not worth sending the model back or getting any replacement parts. It went together quite well. I'd probably say it's more difficult out of the three to build, just because there's an internal hull that you may want to decide to leave the door sort of open, or magnetise even, and paint the interior if you wish. Comes in on one of these 170mm bases, a large oval base. I think this is actually a Night Titan base, so that just puts that in perspective. And then it comes with this stubby little stand thing, and obviously that will eventually just stand on there. I'll show you the underside. There you go, just to give you an idea. So that would slot in there after you painted it and things, because then you can paint the underside of the tank. That'll slot into there, and then that can glue onto the base itself. So that just goes to show you that. These Lastrum bolt cannons, they do move a little bit. I like the fact that these weapons are sort of level with the nacelles, rather than both the Palace and particularly the Caladius being sort of further set back, which is odd, because sort of like, as I said before, from a design point of view, from a war vehicle point of view, I would have thought that they'd have their frontal areas forward if they were based on this, because this is obviously a lot more effective, and I would have liked to have seen those sort of supporting braces chiselled out so that it can give a much larger firing arc. I mean, you're talking of probably 150, 160 degree firing arc. If they just got rid of those bits there, it could have still kept the searchlights or sensors, but at the moment it's still it has a very limited firing arc, and it's still have to move the entire vehicle just to get a decent shot. But like I say, I'm not an engineer, and I certainly haven't worked with any grav engine technology recently, so I would assume it's a bit quite fluid, like water, in it moving, and quite quick, maybe even quicker than the turret rotating speed. But either way, it has this turret. You can magnetise it, absolutely simple and easy to do so, but just be wary that if you're going to cut into a hole there, there is these sloped sort of vents hidden, so you're going to have to drill quite a small hole there, and likewise in the top, but it is possible. I haven't seen any other different weapons to go on the top, and obviously without the rules I don't know if there's going to be any other options other than these, other than the blaze cannon, but we will see. Yeah, it went together quite easily. I'll just take that off. The rear hatch, you don't necessarily need to magnetise it, that'll save you a bit of money. Yeah, there are gaps and things which I probably will go over with green stuff before I spray it, but for me, you know, without gluing that nacelle on there, there's not really much of a gap further where the engine is. It's literally just this gap here, which the other side isn't too bad and probably get away with it, but that side I definitely feel that I should put some modelling putty there and work that out. Also, it's interesting to note that this rear of the tank, it's a shame. I mean, I understand why they did it because it's the only real place that they can, and it's better to do it here than on the front. But unfortunately, on the rear, you can see there's some bubbles that have happened in the mould, and also this is where the rear of the tank is connected to the gates when it's been in the mould too. So that therefore you're going to have it's not going to be completely even as say the top, because you're going to have to file the remnants of the gates and the poles down. But inside, it's a fully detailed interior. It's a little bit late for me to go in there and sort of paintbrush the screens and things. I probably might be able to get a paintbrush in there and do that. But the thing is, you can't really have this top movable, because the way the nacelles are made, unless you want to have the nacelles magnetised too, there's not really a way of you taking this hull off and putting it back on. It's quite a snug fit, and the top of the screen's actually glued to the top of the hull too. So while it's nice to have a fully detailed interior, and that's what you're probably paying, I don't know, I guess £10 or £20 more for the model, because it's just extra stages in the design process of the mould, I do feel that it's sort of a missed opportunity, the fact that you can't really take this top off and interchange it. But I'm sure there's other people out there that have done that. But for me, I'm just going to spray it gold and then paint what I can in there. Mainly the hatch is going to be closed anyway, and if I'm using it for a narration piece of artwork or whatever, I'll probably have it like that with custodians you know, running out the back of it. So yeah, is it really an assault tank if it's only got one sort of entry and exit point? This is purely for the pilot here. So that is the only way in or out of the tank. But yeah, no, you don't need to magnetise it. It holds it quite well. It just depends on how strongly you glue this hull together and how much of a tight fit you get. But I just thought I'd make that point. So I'll just move the base out of the way. Yeah, quite a straightforward model to build. It's huge as well. I haven't really done any size comparisons, but here's a Space Marine. As you can see, it's, you know, it dwarfs a Space Marine quite easily, especially when it's on its base. If we just take that down, Space Marine can easily walk in and out of there. So, but there's that little model. I'll just show you him next to a custodian. Custodian guard. Obviously, will a custodian fit? Probably. He's probably going to have to duck. But we all know these vehicles aren't sort of to scale as such, are they? You just have to look at a Rhino. You're never going to fit 10 Space Marines in a Rhino. So there you go. So that just goes to show you that size comparison next to a custodian guard. Definitely a big tank. Plenty of presence. Let's face it, this is more than a Spartan, and that is a massive tank. I'd probably say the Spartan is bigger than this. But let's just show you a mainstay Space Marine tank, the Land Raider. Now, albeit it's an HQ version, but it is bigger than a Land Raider. That's quite clear to see there. Both width-wise, the Land Raider is a little bit wider just because it's got the sponsons, but you take the sponsons away and the Coronus is wider, and it's certainly longer as well. So that must give you some idea of how many troops it can carry. I would have thought it could carry 10, even though there's 6 seats, but we'll have to wait and see for the rules, and I'll do a rules comparison. So yeah, it is bigger than a Land Raider, but obviously for the same money you can get a Spartan. Let me just show you it next to the other two custodian tanks. So you've got the this isn't completely painted at all, it's just had a rough wash and a rough base coat of paints, but that is the Caladius. As you can see, it's a fair bit bigger in all aspects. Width, the size of the nacelles, the length, you name it, that is massive compared to it. And then finally the Palace tank is smaller still compared to a custodian. So I completely understand when they say that you really would take 3 of these in a squadron, because they are very small, light tanks with the Arachnus blaze cannons on there. So that just goes to show you sort of the medium-sized tank of the Caladius, which is similar to a Sakaran, and a large sort of heavy troop transport of the Coronus. The way I sort of remember it is the Caladius has the 2 engines, the Palace just has the 1 large engine, which is, I'd probably say, larger than the 2 on the Caladius, and then the Coronus has 3 engines, but they're similar size to the Caladius. So the Palace definitely has sort of largest engine with the thrusters there. But that just goes to show you the size there. I mean, you could probably, hopefully that helps. You could probably fit two length Palaces in a Coronus, and maybe it's 2/3 of the width of a Coronus too. So you could easily see one of these being flanked by 2 of those, or even two Caladiuses flanking a Coronus. Dreadnought wise, I might as well just show you it compared to a Contemptor Dreadnought. Contemptors aren't very small, particularly this one, but yeah, it's a lot bigger than a Dreadnought. So there you go, that's my review of the Legio Custodes Coronus Grav-Carrier. I'll definitely be making another video talking about its rules once I get the new book, so hopefully you'll join me for that video too. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.